Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel on this binge worry episode 3. That's only a 2. 3. Okay, before I get going, I just want to let you know the Chicago Bears are could be the worst team in the NFL this year in 2023-2024. So if you're tuning into this video, hopefully it's in the future when the Bears are doing much better. Beartown Coffee. So, here we are to talk about what happened in British Columbia, Canada on Airbnb, and it's going to be bust. Well, no, it's not going to be bust. There are some people that are going to do, holy mac, are they going to do well? And I mean, they are going to do really well. So what does the BC legislation mean? And this is how shorted their politicians in British Columbia, they're being lobbied that short-term rental is the problem. The media, the short-term rental is the problem. Short-term rental is the problem. You know, there's a building with 200 suites in it, and 200 are Airbnb, and only 12 are long-term tenants. So, you know, if we ban Airbnb where that is, those will all turn into long-term tenants. Wrong. First things first. A lot of Airbnbs exist in, I'm going to pick on somebody, Vancouver. So there's a lot of Airbnbs in Vancouver. You can go to the website and look it up. I'm not going to bother, but there's a lot. And this is where this is coming from. People live in these buildings long term, and there's all these short term. But you know what? The majority of these people that own these units that are Airbnb, they're their principal residents. Or they're a foreign person that owns it, and they only use it 4 months a year or 5 months of the year, and then they Airbnb it the rest of the time. And they hire somebody to Airbnb it for them. Okay? Now, do they own 5 or 6 of them? Probably not. They own one, and then they Airbnb it. And there's a lot of people doing this, and this is why there's a lot of Airbnbs. But that's another story. So the government has come along and said, you know, you can't do that. Well, guess what? They passed the legislation. Those crazy, no good for nothing politicians. They didn't listen to the people. And this will not create more long-term rentals in these places that will solve anything at all. Will not. You wait. Wait for a couple years from now and come back to this video and take a look to see if getting rid of the short-term rentals fixed their problem. It will not fix their problem. There's only one way to fix affordable housing, and they won't do it, and it's as simple as that. So, what did they pass? Well, this is what they passed. No short-term rentals, except for 14 communities that are considered a resort. And just to give you a note for all you people out there on the interwebs, the largest, absolute largest areas with no long-term rental available to anybody. Businesses can't grow. They can't hire anybody because there's nowhere for long-term tenants. I'm going to just list a couple of them off. Invermere, British Columbia. Radium, British Columbia. Fernie, British Columbia. Revelstoke, British Columbia, because we're talking about British Columbia here. Now, there are 14 of these, and I just wanted to list those ones off because you know why I wanted to list those ones off? You go and try and find a long-term tenant in these resort areas, and there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you got a local business that you're running and you want to hire some people, they have nowhere to live. They just have nowhere to live. So, this will not solve that problem. Thank you. Also, if you have a principal residence and you want to Airbnb it, so you'd say you're only living in a little bit of the time of the year, you go south for the winter or something like that, and so, or whatever you do. Or maybe you own 2 properties, and like, you live in one and rent the other one. Or you live in that one and rent, you know. No, you can't do that if you own 2. Can't do it. Okay, so I own 1. But if I own 1 and I'm not there and I want to rent it out, I can. If I've got a secondary suite in my house, let's say I've got a suite in the basement, I live on the main floor, I can rent that secondary suite out permanently on Airbnb every day of the year, no problem. Or I have a suite above my garage. Say I built a garage and I got a suite above it and I rent it out. I want to Airbnb that. I can do that. Or maybe, because we're talking Vancouver here, Because when it comes to affordable housing, they really started really down the road. You can have what's called a secondary suite in your backyard. Yeah, let's say a 500 square foot shed and convert it into a 500 square foot 1 bedroom. You can rent that out, long term, short term, whatever you want. And they'll let you do it. All you gotta do is apply. Connect the services and away you go. So you can still rent your house and rent a secondary suite. So there's 2 right there. It's my principal residence. Thank you very much. So that's still there. Agri-tourism. So anywhere, wineries. Any Airbnbs at a winery because they have tourism at a winery or something like that. Nope, those all get to stay. Whether you're doing the winery tour or not. The Airbnb gets to stay. What else gets to stay? Oh, if the town has a 10,000 population or less than 10,000, all the Airbnbs in those 10,000 population areas get to stay because they're exempt. Oh, island trusts. If you're an island and it's a trust, all the Airbnbs on these islands gets to stay, no matter where it is. Mountain resorts and designated resorts, they all get to keep their Airbnbs. Whistler, Fernie, Big Bear. No, that's the United States. What's that other one? You know who I'm talking about. Over by, you know who I'm talking about. So all the resorts, all the ski places, all the water skiing, all get to keep their Airbnbs. So who are they really affecting? The British Columbia government. Oh, they're not solving the housing problems where there's actual problems. They just want to get rid of all the Airbnbs in Burnaby and Vancouver and North Vancouver. Well, okay. I'm here to tell you right now, not very many are going to come onto the long-term market. Because if you haven't been a long-term tenant, you will not, or I'm sorry, I apologize, a long-term landlord, you will not become one. You have no desire to put up with the regulations, because it's rent control in British Columbia, the regulations and everything you got to do to be a long-term landlord. You will not do it. You will go, you know what? I know housing prices are down in Vancouver, and I know I will cause housing prices to go down a little further, but I am not putting this place I have into the long-term rental market. Because if it's just a pure Airbnb, you could do that, but you're not going to want to, so you will sell. Now, maybe the person that buys that will buy it based on making it a long-term tenant. That's totally a possibility. But if you think they're going to pay $600,000 for a 1-bedroom in Burnaby at 5.5% interest rates to do a long-term rental on it, you're dreaming. Because think about what that has to be for rent just to break even. Well, that's not affordable. Hello, it's not affordable. So thank you very much for tuning in to why the BC government just totally destroyed short-term rentals in Vancouver, North Vancouver, Victoria, the Fraser Valley. People that were doing it that aren't their principal residents, maybe bought one and turned it into an Airbnb, or bought 2. If you bought 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, you're in trouble. You are going to have to sell. You could get out and just do a direct booking website all by yourself and not have it on the platform so nobody knows. Someone will. They'll figure it out sooner or later. So you're going to have to make a business decision. Again, business plan. All these things boil down to business plan. I have 7 Airbnbs in Burnaby, and I have those mortgages at, because I bought them years ago and I renewed them, and I'm sitting at 3%, say, and they don't come due till 2026, so I got a pretty good rate. I can't Airbnb anymore come next year. So what am I going to do? Well, I can tell you right now, I would have 2 of them up for sale today. And as soon as they sold, I'd put 2 more up. And as soon as they sold, I'd put 2 more up and I'd get out. See ya. I'm not gonna fight this, and there's no way I'm gonna be a long-term landlord in Burnaby with rent control and all the rules that exist in British Columbia. And this is why the BC government is delusional. And the lobbyists and advisors to the politicians are pounding them. You gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And they're not hearing from people like me that are like, this will not solve your problem. It will bring prices down a little bit and make it a little more affordable, and there'll be a lot of talk about that, but this is not going to go into the long-term rental market, and it will not create properties for the long-term rental market. That is a different market, and you don't understand, as a politician, what the long-term rental market means and how they're built. You just don't get it. You're not listening to the people that do that. You're listening to the other people that are out for themselves. And that's all there is to it. So thank you for tuning in. British Columbia is going to have an Airbnb bust in certain areas because they just won't be allowed to do it because the fines. I looked up the fines. The fines are from $2,000 to $50,000 for Airbnb where you're not supposed to do it. You can't risk that in a business plan. You just can't risk it. So, thank you for tuning in for a little education on what happened in British Columbia. They have destroyed the short-term rental market. And don't get me wrong, there have been 1 week rentals in British Columbia all over the place, all the time, in every city, everywhere, for 60 years. And those people that have been doing it for a long time, they'll go back to their direct booking website. They won't put it on any platform. Their income will go down, but they'll keep be doing 1 week rentals. Okay? They'll just keep doing it. They'll just do it on their own without using Airbnb or Varbo or whatever the rest are. They'll just turn into direct booking websites. And yes, it'll be harder to find places, but they'll still exist. But nowhere like they are right now. So if you want to go to Vancouver or Victoria or Burnaby or something like that, get in before the ban comes because just tons of places are going to disappear and there'll be nowhere to stay. If you are a hotel owner and you own the Marriott in Burnaby and you're just paying the franchise fee, you're going to be happy because your rates are going up and you're going to be fully booked because all the Airbnbs will be gone. Thank you for tuning in and pay attention to what's happening where you live because Airbnb bust might just happen and there's nothing you can do about it. Have yourself a wonderful week and I'll see you in the future.